What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Faithful Fanatic Show live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube channel here on a Tuesday morning. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my left, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Guys, if you are new to the channel, if you like the content, if you want to be interactive throughout today's show, make sure to do one thing first, and that is to smash the subscribe button. We are 10 away from our first 100 subscribers here on the new channel. We appreciate each and every one of you that tap in here with us at DSM. The Sixers returning from All-Star break this Friday night or Thursday night, excuse me, against the New York Knicks, whatever one it is, Scotty. It's been a long, long weekend, man.
Yeah.
With a terrible All-Star weekend that we're going to dive into as well. We're going to give out some first half grades, obviously talk about some more Buddy Hield in the couple of games that he's been in a Sixers uniform, and who needs to step up the most when they get healthy in Joel Embiid's absence. A lot to go through. The Phillies also bringing in Whit Merrifield on a 1-year deal. You have to love it. If you don't, I don't know if we can have a serious conversation with you, but we're going to talk about that as well, all on today's show, my man. What's going on, and happy Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Happy Tuesday. We're here on a non-normal day, but we're bringing the content this week, and I think that's a good precursor for the show. We'll be here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week, so 3 days in a row. Dylan's got a vacation this weekend, so we'll be out of commission on Friday. And then yesterday was President's Day, so we took the day off there. Decided to bring it to you today, but yeah, man, it was a long weekend, a long 3-day weekend, and a lot of I don't want to say it was disappointing All-Star weekend because we should be used to it at this point, but I think it just continues to hit a new level of low
Yeah,
whenever we get to these All-Star
it really
weekends.
does, bro.
And then you hear the responses, things that I heard from Ant Edwards I just didn't like. I get it's like a little vacation for NBA players, but like to ask them to play for, a few minutes in a little scrimmage pickup game and just play like 80 to 85% competition level, like I don't think that's asking a lot of these players for the money that they make and the entertainment value that they're supposed to provide with an All-Star weekend. Like I saw people comparing the NBA All-Star weekend, saying it's like the Super Bowl weekend for the NBA. And if that's the case, that's a joke. Like they should be embarrassed if that's the case. Because it's not even close. Like they don't even do like the show, like Usher halftime show, right? Like you get like the extra stuff with the Super Bowl.
Well,
That is
he took Adam Silver took some of that stuff away, some of the pregame ceremony stuff, so the players could focus on the game. That's one of the like 3 things he did. So that's one of the differences, and it's like it's still not fixing anything. And at this point, man, I agree. I think it's unsolvable. I think it's unfixable at this point. I think it's just the new wave and generation. I mean, yeah, LeBron and KD and some of these guys are still there. LeBron's in like year 38, bro. Like he doesn't like he plays
He's
a little
not
bit
the
in the
guy
first
that's going to
half.
lead the way there.
Exactly, and he's the one that gives the responses. Probably the last like 3 or 4 All-Star games, like. We got to be better. We got to fix it, but I don't know like what we got to do. And then the same thing continues to happen. So the whole weekend's a mess, and we're going to talk about it all here on the show. But the game was probably the biggest, just like kind of slap in the face because, listen, guys, like I get it. It's unsolvable. It's unfixable now, mostly because all these dudes make way too much money. Not way too much money, but I mean they make way too much money in that no money incentive is going to give them extra push. That's what I mean by that. So they're not going to hear, $1 million to the winning team or $5 million to the winning team spread around or whatever the case may be, and go, you know what, guys, we got to show up tonight. They all are all-stars, MVPs, championship caliber players. This isn't the in-season tournament where, those $500,000 mean a lot to the guy 13th, 12th down the bench. It's not like that in this case. So you can't really throw money at them. There's not much you can do, and that's the problem. But that doesn't make it okay. That doesn't justify it because, dude, don't get me wrong. In a way, NBA talent has never been higher. than it is
Yeah.
today. Just all around from a pool perspective, there's so much firepower and offensive power and
Yeah.
talent across the board. But you go back to early 2000s, late 90s, when it's Jordan and
Yeah.
Kobe and KG and Duncan and Garnett and Young.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an all-star game,
These
but
guys were
there's a
aggressive, man.
severe level of competition. So to
Yeah.
me, you can
Yeah.
have all the talent you want across the league right now. You're not MJ. You
Yeah.
ain't Kobe. You ain't Diesel. You ain't Timmy D, the best power forward. I mean, these are some of the greatest
Yeah.
at their positions that played this game
Yeah.
at a almost legit level.
Yeah.
And you guys think, I don't got to do it.
Yeah.
Why?
It's crazy to me, man, because you sit back and you look back at like that like 90s, early 2000s, and of course you can go back into the 80s and
Yeah,
70s. I
exactly.
mean,
To
I
Marshall's
wasn't
point.
alive, so I can't go back there
Right.
myself. But like late 90s, early 2000s, I mean, basketball was just completely different. Like the attitudes, the personalities that were coming into the league were different. Like Kevin Garnett and who is the other guy that I'm thinking of? Like the Paul Pierces, like the
Yeah.
Boston Celtics of the world, like they weren't buddying up with
Nobody,
other
bro.
teams. Like
Nobody.
nobody else was doing that. Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, it wasn't about that. And the thing that's the thing that bothers me the most about these players is like the lack of competitiveness. We talked about it for years, how they all want to be friends, how it's like turned into this big brotherhood, which is fine. They got to take care of each other as a league and as a player
Yeah.
association, but it doesn't mean that you can't have rivalries and grudges and want to be better than the other guy on the other team. And that's the thing that blows me about the All-Star game is you'll see Dame Lillard come out and there's this clip of him hitting a three in Paul George's mouth. And it's like, yeah, Paul George did have a three hit in his mouth for a game winner by Dame Lillard back in the
Yeah.
day. And when that happens in the All-Star game and you get embarrassed, Paul George, you should take that personally. And now you should go back and attack. And that's how the competitiveness
Trae Young
plays
threw a
out.
self bounce pass through Kevin Durant's legs and finished
Yeah.
at the rim. And it
Yeah.
was like, haha, like, I get
Yeah.
it. Like,
It's
yeah,
just all
no one's
good.
trying. I don't know. And I also thought, in a very odd way, there were severe levels of tryhards.
Yeah.
But tryhards not in a competitive way, just like tryhard. Like I honestly thought what
Sure.
Damian Lillard did was corny.
Yeah.
Like the
Just
half court
shooting.
shots were cool. He was hot early.
Yeah.
Damian Lillard in the fourth quarter of the All-Star game, playing some more at this age, and still
Jacking.
chucking up threes, clearly
Yeah.
because he wants the MVP trophy, was
Yeah.
weird behavior to me. I
Yeah.
didn't understand it. And then on the opposite side of things, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Luka Doncic is the biggest disgrace to the game
Yeah.
on in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about dudes like not caring all around?
Yeah.
Walks up and down the floor.
Yeah.
We're not even going to discuss the 40-second, three-quarter length shot that he threw off the
75
backboard.
foot shot.
Dude, he doesn't move. He literally walks on like he doesn't do anything athletic over this weekend, and it's like, why are you even out there then, bro? Like, that's the thing. Like, all these dudes want All-Star nods. Remember last year when James Harden was reportedly frustrated that he wasn't an All-Star?
Right.
But why? Why? Because
Why?
you wanted to go party? It had nothing to do with actually being an All-Star.
Exactly, man.
You wanted the recognition and you wanted
That's
to be
probably
out
why
there.
he
And
didn't
that's
care
what most
this
of these
year.
dudes want.
Because it's in Indiana. That's probably why Harden didn't care this year.
Right.
There's no incentive of him going to Indiana. But no, I completely agree, man. And this is like you said, you have Dame like out there at the end of the game jacking up threes. And mind you, Doc Rivers, man, this dude is just goofy for the way he does things. Like there were certain players on the Eastern Conference that just like didn't touch the court in the third quarter, right? Maxey was one of them. And you look at it and you think, well, Dame and Giannis are on his team, and they have a half of season to go here. They need to get things on track with Milwaukee.
And he's playing them in the fourth quarter of the
Let's
All-Star
just
game.
play them in the fourth quarter. And he
Yeah,
gave Jason Tatum a rest. He
yeah.
rested Jason Tatum though, like he did
Yeah, and
all for the
again, not
Blazers,
that
you
it's
know?
like this back and forth track meet defensive game where they're getting out of shape and their legs, whatever. But it
Right,
is
right.
a long weekend.
But
I mean, Damian Lillard just won the 3 point competition. Like
wouldn't you play the young guys? And like, if you're in the All-Star game,
you
you're
would
up
think
like
so.
25, 30 points. Let's just play Scotty Barnes, Tyrese Maxey, these guys that are in their first All-Star game,
Jalen Brunson getting his
never been
Tyrese
there.
Halliburton, like
Yeah,
play those dudes in the
yeah.
end in the fourth quarter, halfway through the fourth quarter. It was it was a disgraceful game. And now I mean I did I mean there was a no sweat bet. I did take the over in the game, so I was happy to see
Easy
the
money.
overall scoring from that
I
perspective.
took
But
the
dude,
East.
200 plus points from a team, almost 400 points total in a game.
And
I
the thing
mean,
for me, man,
that's ridiculous. And if we're being honest, bro, this didn't even have like the. I know Dame hit 2 half-court threes and anything. This didn't even have like the. I don't know, like the entertainment or aura of previous All Star games where you had moments and stretches of crazy transition
yeah,
alley oop dunks and
yeah.
Steph Curry pulling up from the parking lot 4 possessions in a row. It didn't even have that. There were just layups after layup after mid. Like,
Because
what are we doing?
because the West came out there to start the game. They came out with Nikola Jokic and they came out with Luka Doncic, and neither of those guys were taking this weekend serious at all, right? And they come out, the West goes down big early, and then now the
Yep.
game's not competitive because nobody's going to play defense, right?
Yep.
And that's what blew me, man. Like the 3-point shooting, and it's not just like 3-point, it's just jacking up
Yeah.
shots, man. Like that's all these guys do is they just sit there, try to hover around the 3-point line.
Let-
I saw Kyle Neubeck say this, and I think it's an idea. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's an idea. Take the 3-point line away in the All-Star game and see what they do. I mean, maybe they still shoot it from 40 feet away because they don't want to be
yeah.
touched, but I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, like coming away from this weekend, man, my biggest takeaway would be like can't like don't even do the game. Like
I
you
agree.
don't need to do it. Just do an honor system. You can do even like an award ceremony because that's all the players
I
want
think
to
you
do
could
at
do
the end of the
something.
day. Like
I honestly, bro, do I don't even know. I know it'd be too hard, but do a 3-on-3 tournament, like
yeah,
groups of whatever
yeah,
over the weekend, and like have it beat throughout the weekend. Get rid of the skills competition. I mean,
yeah,
at this point, fucking get rid of the dunk competition. We can get into that in a second, but like literally the only thing that's valuable still is the 3-point competition. It has the star power. It never really disappoints. There's always
yeah,
great performances and great rounds and things like that. That's the only thing that really matters. Make literally the weekend, Friday to Sunday, like this 3v3, like playground esque tournament style with
yeah,
like an incentive for the team, for the group of three winners, like something
yeah.
like that. I don't know. Like that's the only thing I can think
That's the
of.
only that's like
Um,
that's something that would be actually interesting to watch, right? Like
yeah,
it's some system of like the players picking their own teams and
yeah.
coming together to play, and it
Like
would be
Scotty,
interesting
bro,
to see those
you
matchups.
and I
Yeah.
already don't like him, but like no one tuned into the All Star game to watch Giannis Antetokounmpo shoot 3 pointers,
No,
and he took about 5 of them bitches.
no,
Ask me if he hit one. Not a single. Like, what are we doing, bro? Like this dude, like again, you're in the All-Star game. There's no difference, or there's no defense, excuse me. You're the Greek freak, you're this athletic freak of nature. Bro, get the ball out in transition and do something fun out in transition.
bro.
Like,
That's all I could sit there and think when I was watching like the dunk competition on Saturday and just watching all the competitions. Like I was seeing Giannis over there. You see Jason Tatum come out in his nice coat out on the court, and it's just like like you guys should be doing these competitions. Like
well,
that's
let
that's
me say the
my
last
thing.
thing.
Like I have to sit here and watch like Giannis fanboy, and it's like you guys are in Indiana right now
Yeah,
out there with your Google Pixel phone,
yeah.
fanboying over
Listen,
a dunk
yeah,
contest of
listen.
Gene
Jalen
Weaver,
Brown
like
was a disgrace, but you at least had to
yeah,
give him credit for trying.
for trying.
Like
not being afraid to be embarrassed because he
Right,
definitely should be.
exactly. Like that's probably what most of these dudes are in this day and age, bro. It's just it's not like. And here's the other thing I don't get, Scotty, about the whole. I get it. It's a meaningless game. Got like we always talk about it with Embiid. Like, man, if Embiid went out there and tried hard and hurt himself in
Yeah,
the All-Star game, we would literally cry, right? And if he was
yeah,
out for, I get that, but you dudes run open gyms in the summer all the time,
right,
don't you?
right.
Aren't those even more meaningless? And you guys do this whole, like I don't know, like you play harder in a private gym in August than you do in front of millions
Yeah,
in the All-Star game. And the last thing I'll say, like you said, like the code and they come out with their phones and all, man. Again, I get it. It's a business. You don't want to hurt yourself. It's a nice little break for you guys. It's fun. You guys are friends. Cool, man. You guys have all that money to waste. How much you think those fans that were in
yeah.
Indiana
That's what I've
paid
been wondering. Yeah,
to go to
I'm
the
curious. I'm
All-Star
curious how
game
much
and
it
go to the
costs.
skills competition?
Yeah,
And you literally just slapped them across the face
but
because you
that does
care about
sound
your
fun.
money. And
I
that's fair.
mean,
You should care about your money. But
yeah,
what about the guy that took his 8-year-old to the game and spent hundreds of dollars
yeah.
to go? And this is what you guys did.
This is the product,
I
and
mean
you
that
know
that's
that's
that
why
that's cool, man.
that's why you come out of that game, and Adam Silver. You could tell by the way he was talking in that post game presser that he was pissed, like about how that went down, and it's embarrassing for the league because once again, this is like their weekend, right? Like this is their weekend to really have
Yeah.
everyone's attention. And I remember when I was younger, man, you would like line up to watch the All-Star weekend,
Yeah.
right? Like
Hell yeah.
watch the dunk contest and watch some of the 3-point contestants and some of the skills challenges. And the biggest thing was that it featured big names. Like that's the thing with the dunk contest. Like shout out to Mac McClung. He definitely deserved to win, but
Listen,
how embarrassing is it for an NBA, a professional basketball league, to have a G League development player
go back to
winning
back.
one of their competitions at
Back to
an
back.
all-star event? Back to back years. Like nobody could step up to the plate and beat the G Leaguer. And I'm not trying to diss Mac McClung. Like he deserved to win. He's a great dunk
Bro,
artist, whatever you want to call it.
I would rather watch these dudes compete for money.
Yeah,
And have it
yeah,
be an incentive for these
yeah,
no-name guys, these
yeah,
YouTubers and whatever. Honestly, you would get probably more creative. You would get
yeah,
cooler dunks. You would get
yeah.
guys actually attempting and trying and not afraid to
People
be
that want to
embarrassed.
do
It's
something. Yeah,
bullshit. It's honestly bullshit. And no offense, man, but this goes back to the whole Damian Lillard trade, James Harden trade, these contracts, signing a 5-year extension and 1 year later requesting out
yeah,
because you're unhappy. This is what happens when the prisoners run the asylum. The commissioner of the NBA was vocally and publicly unhappy with
yeah,
what happened.
yeah,
And there's nothing that can happen. Here's what I'll say. They'll never do it. These are grown men. The Players Association would never allow it, yada, yada, yada. If they're not going to respond to positives, what the hell is that?
Interesting. Never seen that before.
Yo.
That was interesting. I don't know if that actually popped up on like the stream,
Hold
but
on.
yeah, that was interesting. So a thumbs
All
up.
right. Well,
I don't know.
there we go. All right.
There's another one. I don't
If they're
know.
not going to respond
Interesting.
to like incentives or positivity or money or anything, then let Adam Silver and these coaching staffs. It's a message to these coaching staffs. If they're not playing
Yeah,
hard, they don't get to play, and there's some sort of punishment. I'm like, I know it'll never happen, and I
yeah,
know there's no way to
yeah,
even do it. But like, if there's nothing you can do positively to get them to play harder or try, even for a freaking quarter,
yeah. Like just give us
then
a great fourth quarter in the
like
All-Star.
Luka Doncic, you're missing 2 game checks, bro, for that performance or something. Like that was pitiful. Like
I
honestly,
feel
but
you, man. Let me
Scotty,
tell you
think about
something.
it. Think about it when the year that Kobe passed, bro. Think
Yeah,
about that fourth quarter. How
they went at it.
seriously they took that fourth quarter, remember? And I get it. Like, it was bigger than basketball at that point, and it was their friend and their brother and everything.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that quote-unquote meaningless game had meaning one time.
Right, because they
But
knew
all
that
of a
that's
sudden,
what
it's
Kobe
meaningless
would do.
again.
But they don't love Kobe enough to compete at the highest level every All-Star game, right?
Right.
So it is funny, man. But just once again, one thing to take away from this weekend, I cannot stand Giannis, man, and I am gonna begin to hate the Milwaukee Bucks this postseason, especially with Glenn Rivers at the helm there. It seems like a group of idiots. Like now you add in a Patrick Beverly that's talking
Yes,
out of the
sir.
side of his ass.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
You add in a guy like him that's talking out of the side of his ass, and then you got Dame. Dame, I'll say it seems like Dame doesn't want to be in Milwaukee. Like it seems like he doesn't really
Bro,
like
did you
Giannis.
see the clip of him holding in a laugh when Thanasis got the backcourt violation?
I did not. I did not see that.
Bro,
But that's hilarious.
he's like
Man.
looking around on the bench to see if anyone else is
Did you
laughing, and
see
he's
him?
like holding back a smirk.
Did you see him list the top 5 players he would want to like play with, like his top 5 starting lineup?
Dame?
Yeah.
Nah.
Well, the main point, Giannis was not on it. So, of current players, it was like first of all, he had Bam Adebayo as the center that he wants to play with the most. Not
Hey, he wanted to be in Miami, bro. He wanted
not
to be in Miami.
Joel Embiid, not Nikola Jokic, Bam Adebayo. Interesting, but he had Kevin Durant. I think maybe Devin Booker might have been on there, but no Giannis nonetheless.
I mean, he should have just
In
joined the
Dame's
Phoenix
starting
Suns.
5. And then, did you see Giannis? I don't know where this presser came from, but he was saying how he does not watch basketball. He does not watch, what other players do. He doesn't like try to see or learn what they do when he goes into the games. He learns what they do there. Like that's how he gets down. He doesn't watch.
He doesn't watch
That's
film.
unless let me look this up so I can get it correct here. I want to make sure this wasn't a fake quote. But it did. It sounded like something Giannis would say, man. I swear.
Regardless, it does. But, bro, I just have to, and, we're almost done with this All-Star weekend because it was an absolute disgrace. The skills competition is just even worse, too, bro. Like, they have to just get rid of all of it, honestly.
Yeah.
But Patrick Beverly I believe it was on Friday, bro. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I get it. Like, why is everyone so surprised? This is what he does. For me, I think it's just because of the outcry of support he got from Philly fans when they traded him. I mean, people were literally adding the president of basketball operations on Twitter and just talking crazy to him on social media because he traded away one of their favorite players.
Yeah.
And I get he's not talking about the fan base or anything, but just the quick switch up. And what do you want him to do? He's an all-time panderer. He clearly did this here when he was in Philly. Now, especially with the podcast, you're going to see it even more. I understand that, but this is why I said to you when he talked about the Daryl Morey story, I said, well, timeout. Why does everyone just believe Patrick Beverly? Like, we're assuming Morey's a liar because another man told a story. And then I'm hearing all the things he's having to say, and I'm like, no, he's a liar, bro. He's a liar. He's a 1,000% liar. And to get on Tobias, first of all, I have a question too. I would love to hear from. Do we really believe Tobias called him and was like, "Hey, yo, Pat, what's the biggest difference from Philly and Milwaukee?"
Biggest difference?
What about? Did you hear his comment? Did you hear his comment that he said that him and Doc already had this connection from LA because when Doc when Doc was wherever, he and Pat would exchange phone calls. He'd be like, "Hey, yo, Pat, what did you see here from tonight's game?" Like, Pat was watching on TV, and he wanted Patrick Beverly's opinion. And he's like, "I see this, Doc. They doing this, this, and this." The fuck are you talking about, dude? That's like, no, it didn't happen. A head coach of a basketball team did not coach a loss or whatever the case was, the situation, and call Patrick Beverly, who's sitting on his couch at home. Hey, Pat, what you see here on this set? Shut up, bro. Honestly, I'm gonna be up in Kyle's ass. No, you're not. Honestly, bro, we overvalue Patrick Beverly. He's got that attitude. He's a dog on the court. He's an idiot. The night before this podcast dropped, he had 1 point in 14 minutes in a loss, and he was a team worst plus minus 16.
Oh,
but I'm gonna be up in Philly's ass. No, you're not. You're gonna get dog walked. I promise.
In the comments, about like what he actually said about Milwaukee too, right? Like they're all about winning and the culture, and there's
What are you
nobody worried
talking
about
about, bro? Your
stats.
head coach, Doc Rivers, that guy you have a connection with already. Your head coach literally said half of his guys were in Cabo tonight.
Yeah, make sense.
But everybody on your team is so locked into winning each and every night. You are a fool, bro. You're a fool. Hey, Pat, you're so locked in. You know what I love about him too, bro? I'm sorry. I'm going nuts right now thinking about him. I get he does impact the game in lots of ways. He really does, okay? But when you go 1 point in 14 minutes, I don't care about your steal here and your help defense here on one possession, bro. You didn't impact the game at all. In fact, you were a 16-point negative on this night. So don't talk to me about how scoring isn't. Yeah, it's not everything. No one knows that more than us, Scotty. But come on, bro. Come on. Like you're not this otherworldly player in other areas and facets of the game where your scoring just doesn't matter at all.
I thought he was delusional in saying that. I mean, you have Thanasis on the squad, and you're going to tell us that they're all about winning. Like you have him taking up a roster spot, and you're all about winning. Like you have Giannis on your team, and you're all about winning. No stat padding. Nobody's worried about stats, right?
Yeah, ain't Giannis the dude that literally tried to start a brawl over getting a game ball his stat accomplishment?
Yeah, 64-point game. Yeah. It is funny, man. And I found the Giannis comment here. It says, I just in general do not watch basketball. I love when I go to the game and I have no idea who I'm playing or what they do.
Okay, pause.
I mean, what the fuck?
Who reported that? Where'd the quote come from?
It came from Sports on Max, so I guess HBO Max.
All right, we're just going. We're assuming this is real. If it's
it's been Twitter? On multiple outlets. So this is
so here's the thing. Listen, for him to say he doesn't watch basketball, I'm not going to say that's crazy because I mean I remember when we won the Super Bowl and Fletcher Cox says he doesn't watch the Super Bowl any other year. He doesn't watch football. Like I understand guys in that profession when they go home they might not want to watch it. That's just how some guys are built. But you don't watch film? You just step onto the floor with a couple of guys on the other team and you have no idea what they do well, where they like to go, what they like to do. You guys didn't. You personally didn't watch film throughout the course of getting ready for this at all. That's a lie. That's a lie.
And why?
I mean,
why
you would not get away with not watching a single second of film. I mean, come on.
Why
you might not go home and turn on NBA TV and watch the game that's on your night off. But I promise you know what guys are doing when they come into the game because you've watched them on an iPad.
He honestly is so it's like he wants you to not like him.
Honestly, bro. It's such a fake shtick, like Marshawn Lynch pointed out.
Yeah.
It's so fake.
There's no way you can be this way.
It seems intentional, bro, honestly.
Yeah, there's no way you can actually be this way. This arrogant asshole. He is really a guy that is full of himself. That's why I always find it I find it so interesting that people, will still call him humble and one of the more humble supers. No, man, this dude is arrogant, right? Ooh. And it's just so funny in comparison to the hate that a guy like Joel Embiid receives compared to the support and the standing that a guy like Giannis gets. It's actually incredible to me. But yeah, I really do not like this Bucks team, man. I
I
mean,
hate them.
from Pat Bev to Glenn Rivers
I mean,
to
yeah. I mean,
Giannis.
Scotty,
I mean,
honestly, just
such an annoying team.
from a deeply seated like root from the history of it all and the recent playoffs and all of that.
Yeah,
Obviously, Boston's still number one, but
yeah,
just in terms of like a personnel
yeah.
roster, the coach, like Milwaukee's by far number one.
Like
Like,
and this is saying something. Like I would rather Boston win than Milwaukee. Like
I
I don't want Milwaukee to
I
win.
feel that,
Period.
and I'll also say I hate them more, but I respect Boston more.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I respect the
I can
Boston
like
Celtics.
stomach it. I can stomach Boston
Yeah.
because they've been on the brink for so many years
Which
now. But
which I
Milwaukee's been
understand
there. Like
sounds a
don't
little
get me wrong,
backwards
but
considering Milwaukee actually does have a title in the last three to
yeah,
4 years. Boston doesn't,
yeah.
but I think they're better. I
I don't want
respect them
Giannis
more.
to
They're
get
tough.
two.
No,
I don't want him to get two rings.
no.
So yeah, I don't know.
I don't even want
It,
them playing in
it
the
is
finals.
interesting. I think part of it is, part of it is Glenn Rivers, right, being there. I don't want to see him have success that wasn't able to have here in Philadelphia. Definitely don't want to see him go on to win something after, right?
Nope.
So that's part of it. And then part of it is like the Dame and Giannis thing. Like I just kind of want it to fail. If I'm being honest, like
Yeah.
obviously didn't like Dame getting traded there. Obviously, I wouldn't have liked Dame going to Miami. Whatever the case may
Right.
be, right? So no matter what, I would have been rooting for wherever he went to ultimately fail and flounder out. But yeah, I think that's part of it too, man. Maybe it's the fact that we didn't get Dame or something. I don't know. It's not that I want Dame in hindsight now either. I don't know. When he left Portland, I just don't like him anymore. Like I don't know. Like
I
that's
agree.
just how I operate with NBA, man. I think it's a players' league, and you pick players you like, you pick players that you're okay with winning, and then you pick players that you're just kind of not with. And maybe it
Yeah.
is like the super team thing, right? Like leaving Portland and going to Milwaukee to play with Giannis. I
To
don't know.
me, I think it's very
Might not be
simple.
fair
There's
speculation.
like there's a personality vibe to it, right? Which is I
Yeah,
think is where like the Giannis hate can kind of come into play for me. And then B, it's how you get yourself in certain situations. So for Damian Lillard, like he got praised for so many years for sticking
yeah,
it out in Portland, and I called him dumb,
yeah,
bro. They're doing you a
yeah,
disservice. Go get out of there. Get out of that situation. But then when you sign the 4 or 5 year extension, 8 months later, you don't get to turn around and force your way out. That's not how the real world works. And
yeah.
these dudes, again, they
They
run
don't
it.
care.
There's
Yeah,
nothing people can do. The commissioner can't even do much anymore, man. And
yeah,
that has to change. Honest. Listen, like you said, it's a players' league, and there is a fun and successful part to that. But there's also the other end of it where if teams are losing control in putting themselves in trade situations and what they can offer because players are simply refusing to go here and they want to go here
yeah,
so that team can offer less. It's an unlevel playing ground, and
yeah.
that's something you can't afford to have happen. But anyway, we're about 35 minutes into this one. We have not talked Sixers returning from the break yet,
Yeah, let's
because the
talk
Bucks and
Sixers.
All-Star weekend got us going a little bit. Let's get there, man. Obviously the Sixers 10 games over 500 through the first, what are they, 54 games in or
Yeah,
so.
54.
um when you look back on the first half, through all of the James Harden stuff to start the year, through all of the trades and roster turnover, through the Joel Embiid injuries and all the other injuries, where do you sit at this point in time? 10 games over 500. Obviously, we're going to talk looking forward in a second and they're getting healthier. But just right now, man, like I would have to say it's still been a great success. I mean, you're 10 games over 500, and the actual team has played a minuscule percentage together.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to think about looking back on the first part of the season here. Um it's hard to think back because of all the injuries that are mixed in, all the situations that were dealt. Nick Nurse, first stint as head coach of the Sixers, right? Tyrese Maxey making the jump to All-Star, Tobias Harris missing time with injury, D-Melt, so on and so forth. Obviously, the biggest one being Joel Embiid now. And they've been 3-7 in their last 10, so it was a tough finish before the All-Star break,
Absolutely.
obviously. But I think you have to discount it a little bit, right? And I
I
think
mean,
you have
yes.
to discount it with the thought that some of these guys are going to be returning soon, right? Like I did read that D-Melt within a week or so, he should be able to get back to playing or get back into the lineup. Same with Nicholas Batum, Tobias Harris. These aren't like lengthy
I
injuries.
mean,
So
Scotty, as of right now, the Sixers have nobody on the injury report versus the Knicks.
see if that's on ESPN, I don't think that that's accurate because I did see that as
It is
well.
on ESPN.
I went on this covers.com and they still do have Tobias Harris, Kyle Lowry, Batum, D-Melt, obviously Embiid, and then Robert Covington on the injury list. You have Tobias questionable for Thursday with the hip impingement. Kyle Lowry's just questionable with conditioning. Nick Batum, it says out indefinitely with a hamstring injury.
Yes.
D-Melt late February with his back injury. Joel Embiid, it says early April with his knee. And then Robert Covington late February with his knee. So that's what the injury statuses are I'm seeing on covers.com right now. So with all that being said, right, all of those injuries in mind, the time, right, you even have Kelly Oubre's accident mixed into that first
Yes,
half
you
of the
do.
season, that wild instance. But you come into this second half of the season, or kind of second half, right? There's only 28 games left after the All-Star break. Um, but you're the fifth seed. You're what, 2.5 games up of the seventh and eighth seed, I believe, the Miami Heat, in the Orlando Magic, and I believe you are 2 games behind the Milwaukee Bucks or the Cleveland Cavaliers. One of those two. I'm not looking at the standings right now. Yeah, 2 games back of the Milwaukee Bucks for the 3 seed. You're 4.5 games back of the Cleveland Cavaliers of the 2 seed, right? Now, I think, looking back, let me go back. Start of the season, first half of the season, a grade. I think I would have to give the Sixers a B. I think that's where I would probably go here, and a lot of it is not their fault in that sense.
Right.
You could argue a B plus, A minus, for
Yeah.
for example, if you wanted to, given the injuries, given a first year stint for Nick Nurse. But I went with a B just for where we want the Sixers to be.
Right.
Um,
Leaving room for improvement.
exactly, leaving room for improvement. If it was an A, that would mean we should be what, a 2 seed, one
Mhm.
seed in the Eastern Conference right now, which we're not.
Right.
They slipped a little bit towards the end, towards the
The
All-Star
break.
break there. And that's what brings it down to a B for me, right? I think you have like the positives mixed in there of the Harden trade, how they fit in around Embiid when he was in. I think you have the positives of Tyrese Maxey excelling to an all-star caliber player. I think you have, the positives like Ricky Council coming in and showing he can contribute, little things like that. And then even Buddy Hield, right? You get the Buddy Hield trade in towards the closer to the All-Star break. And he obviously has made a significant
Mhm.
impact on this team, right? And then, the likes of campaign, so on and so forth. So moving on into the second half of the season, I think, what I'm looking for is to just stay afloat, right? You have to kind of stay in middle ground. You just have to stay at 500. And I guess when we look forward, and I'll throw it to you here, is that something that this team can do? And I know it's a hard question to
Yeah.
answer right now because of the injury situation, but can this team stay afloat without the MVP, man? And that's going to be the big question that we're going to find out over the next few weeks.
Right. So they're sitting at what? 32 and 22 right now. If you
Yeah.
were to finish 500 the rest of the way, that puts the Sixers
So
at
28 games.
what?
So 46 and 36.
Right. Just trying to think of what seed that 46 win team's probably getting.
46 wins, right? Because Boston's going to hit 50 wins for sure.
Easily.
Easily.
I mean, dude, since Embiid's been healthy, we've been accustomed to 50-plus win seasons for the most part. I mean, 52 one year, 50, 51, like they've been in that
Yeah.
ballpark when they've been anywhere from a 1 to a 3 seed. So seeing them at 46 would hurt a bit. I don't just with the injuries and the Ross and the schedule, it's like, can they
Feels
get,
like a
2 games
6 seed
above?
at best.
The issue is, yeah. So we'll have to take it game by game from that standpoint, right?
Yeah.
But you asked me how they can do it or how confident I am that they're going to be okay. And again, assuming they're getting healthy and the cavalry is coming ASAP, hopefully Thursday or most of them by Thursday, I think that this team is in very good condition. Now, I understand no matter who we've had in the past, when you take Joel Embiid off the floor, the Sixers tend to struggle. But I've
Yeah.
also seen the Sixers team do some incredible things and go on runs without Joel Embiid. You can go all the way back, and again, different Joel Embiid, different supporting cast. I understand that. Go all the way back to the 17 games he missed at the end of that 2017 season, and they went on a very, very nice run. Last year, they were missing Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, multiple players for about a month in December. Shake Milton and DeAnthony Melton gave this team a boost and went on a run. With
Yeah.
all of this talent, Scotty, I have to believe that they're going to be okay and stay afloat and get ready for the big fella to come back. That's all that matters in the second half, is that he personally can come back. But you look at this supporting cast, I mean, honestly, man, they've been in games. They've been winning some games without him. And you've been doing so with the likes of KJ Martin starting, with the likes of, and I know he's going to have to continue to play, but Mo Bamba playing big minutes. If you can get a lineup, a rotation out there that includes Tyrese Maxey, Buddy Hield, Nico Batum, Tobias Harris, Paul Reed, DeAnthony Melton, Kelly Oubre Jr., Kyle Lowry, who knows what's going on with Robert Covington, Ricky Council, KJ Martin, and Mo Bamba, they can stay afloat, man. I truly believe that. It's just what is afloat? 500 sounds afloat, especially given the condition of the schedule.
Yeah.
But is 500 good enough? Does 500 keep you out of the play-in? That is the question.
I feel like 48 should be the target. I don't know. That number just sticks in my head as at least a 6 seed. Like 48 wins. Like, do I see? Let's see here. So the Pacers are at 31.
Yeah.
Miami's at 30. Orlando at 30. Chicago's at 26, right? I mean, you never know, but
no, they're not falling. They're not falling out of below the 8 seed. I'll tell you that. Okay. So the question is, like you said, can they stay 6 or above?
28 games. Miami's 30 and 25. Orlando's same record. So they played 55 games. So they only have 27 games left. Are those 3 teams below them going to get 46 wins? That's the question, right? If that's considering that the basement for the Sixers is 500, right? That's also that what we're hovering with that assumption as well. I did just go through the schedule and I counted games that the Sixers definitely should win, like the Pistons, the Hornets, right? Like these type of matchups for the rest of the season. There's 10 games like that. So there's less than half of the games are games
that
where
leaves
the Sixers will be
18. I mean that's I mean, Scotty, we were going for 14 and 14. Even if you win 9 of the 10 or 8 of the 10, that still leaves plenty of room to go 500 or a little worse. Like if you win 9 of the 10, can you win 6? Can you go 6 and 8 against the tougher opponents?
Like, can this team beat a team? Like, can this team beat teams like the Mavericks? Can this team beat teams like the Pelicans without
Right.
Embiid. Like these are the things that we're gonna have to find out. Like who else here? The Phoenix Suns, the
I mean,
LA
let's
Lakers.
call it
Like
what it is,
these are
man. I mean,
teams that you
again, we have no
should be able to
idea.
beat.
We have no idea what the injury report technically looks like yet.
Yeah.
But you have
Knicks
this
are
three
also
game,
injured.
you have this stretch coming out of the break that's tough, but you're home.
And you
I
just
mean,
beat the Cavs.
give me 2-1. Give me 2-1 across these 3 games. Knicks, Cavs, Bucks. And I know that Bucks game is going to bring juice on a Sunday afternoon to the Wells Fargo Center. So,
Yeah.
give me 2-1 heading into Boston. You lose at Boston, let's say you're 2-2. You beat the Hornets, you're 3-2. You know, you lose to the Mavericks, you're 3-3. Beat the Nets and the Grizzlies, you're 5-3. I mean, there's ways to get on little runs here in this tough schedule, and they're going to have to find ways to do so. The coach is going to have them ready, but most importantly, like we said, if we're being 100% transparent and honest, they only have a chance if they get their guys back. And
Yeah.
if they're playing the Knicks on Thursday night and they're still missing Tobias Harris and DeAnthony Melton and Nico Batum, they're probably going to lose the game. And I know that's tough and it doesn't make it okay, but it kind of does. Like, I mean, you mentioned it. They're 3-7 in their last 10. Scotty, they're decimated, bro. That's all. Like I say it every night they go out there. Like, what did we really want them to
Yeah.
do? Like,
It's okay in a sense of like them having excuses to lose, but it's
yeah.
not okay in the sense of urgency and needing to gather up wins
No.
stay afloat. So it's like, yeah, I do get what you're saying. The Knicks game, man, you look at this stretch coming up, those 4 games to end this month. I would almost call the Knicks game a must win almost. Like I know that sounds crazy. There's not really any must wins in a regular season when you have 82 games, right? And they could go 1-3 in these next 4 and then win 5 in a row for all we know. We don't know at the end of the day. But when you look at these matchups, you look at the other 3 teams that they'll play during this 4-game stretch. The Knicks seem to be the team that is beat up the most out of those 4 teams.
Yeah.
You don't have any OG Anunoby right now. I believe Julius Randle is still out. I know they're not on the injury report.
Randall's out, yeah.
Let me check covers here just to understand. Yeah, so Bogdanovich probable, Hartenstein probable, DiVincenzo questionable, Anunoby out, Randle out, Mitchell Robinson out. So they're missing 3 starters there, in Anunoby through Randle, Robinson. Now they obviously supplemented the roster at the trade deadline for this type of situation, but yeah, okay. So yeah, Marshawn Lynch actually points out a good point here. They're only a half a game back from the Knicks, and that's the 4th seed. So if you could get that jump immediately after the All-Star break, and I think that's another point, right? Maxey gets a nice little 4-day break here until that next game. All of these guys get it. Jalen Brunson's going to get that break
the
as
NBA,
well. But
job well done, guys. You come out of the All-Star break and give the Sixers an immediate back-to-back against 2 top Eastern Conference teams, and then you throw in another a day later. So you give them 3 games in 4 days against those 3 teams in the Eastern Conference. That's real nice. And then they go on the road to play. Like, however, who set this up? Honestly,
that's incredible, man. Honestly, I mean, I don't know if I'm tripping. Like these last 28 games are kind of crazy. Like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna sit here and complain about like a schedule or like where games are placed. Like, I'm just not gonna do that. But it is crazy. I agree.
And listen, man,
both games against the Clippers. Like
everyone, basically the same amount depending on different things, different conferences. And I know no one gets a fair. I know nobody gets a fair shake of when these games are scheduled, and no one gets an even balance of 3 tough games, 4 easy games, 2 tough games, 3 easy. No one gets nice balance. But I mean, like you said, bro, are you joking?
Look, there is
Knicks, Cavs, Bucks at Boston. Oh, easy game at Mavs, at Nets. I mean, the Nets stink, but you're still on the road. Grizz. Pelicans, at Knicks, at Bucks.
There's a stretch in March where they send the Sixers. They send the Sixers
first the Heat at home.
Bro, there's a stretch in March where the Sixers take on the Lakers, Clippers, Kings,
You forgot the
and
Suns.
Suns all
Yeah.
in a row. Four teams out west in a row.
Well,
And
and
on
then
the end of that 4-game
yeah,
road trip is a back-to-back against
yeah.
the Clippers and the Kings. Two high octane teams, right? Two
Wait,
teams that like to
bro,
go.
that ain't
That
even
is
it, Scotty.
hilarious. Man.
Scotty, that ain't even it. After the back-to-back, they play the Clippers again at home.
Again at home.
Then you go to at Cleveland, and then you head up to Canada to play the Raptors, and then you come home for the Thunder, and then go to South Beach to play the Heat.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean,
This team's gonna
truly
be
is
tested.
unbelievable.
This team's gonna be tested for sure, man.
And listen, yeah, the West Coast trip is normal. The back-to-back
Yeah.
is messed up. But I can't recall our West Coast trip being with 10 games remaining.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't recall that
And I
ever.
swear we already had a West Coast trip, man. I swear, like
We just did.
where
Yeah,
Embiid got injured was a
Yeah.
West Coast trip. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe there's multiple in a season. I don't know. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
once again not complaining about the schedule. It looks a lot different if you have Joel Embiid right now. That's the point. We're not supposed to be down an MVP right now. So it is what it is, man. This team, they're gonna have to step up. But Tyrese Maxey, you're an all-star, right? Tobias Harris, you're a max
Hey,
contract
now
player.
you're an all-star.
Tobias, you're a max contract player, right? Oubre, he's playing for like these guys got stuff to play for, man. He's got to show whatever he wants to earn in his next contract. If he wants to be paid like a third star, right? Like a third guy on a team. He needs to ball out this second half of the season. So there's a lot on the table for these guys.
He's doing
man.
just that.
He's doing that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say regarding the Sixers second half, and obviously we're going to be following it closely throughout the second half on the morning show here. But that is that this team is now what I believe to be deeper and much more talented than they were 2 months ago when we thought this team was incredibly deep, if that makes sense. My point is, we thought this team healthy had a chance a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. We thought this team is fun, the vibes are high, they're incredibly close, etc. This team's deeper. This team's much more talented. They have more shooters. They have more ball handlers. Just get healthy, and we'll see what they can accomplish. I think you bring in a leader like Kyle Lowry while Joel's out to kind of just fill a void, fill that voice on and off the floor. That can kind of keep this team together. I mean, he's not going to play a ton if all the guards are healthy, but Kyle Lowry can be an extension of Nick Nurse on the basketball floor, and I think that is a huge thing for this team down the stretch of close games and everything. So we'll see. Hopefully over the weekend we're watching Kyle Lowry take it to Patrick Beverley this Sunday, man, and we'll be talking about it all on Monday morning. But before we do wrap up,
if Patrick Beverley is a real guy, then he'll guard Tyrese Maxey. Like that's what I thought was funny about his other comments. Like you're gonna get into Kyle's ass or get into
except the
ass.
The problem is Kyle Lowry or Patrick Beverley comes off the bench,
right?
Because he's a bench player, a role player, so he's probably going to match up a little bit more with another bench player.
Mind you, bro,
not an all-star.
We gotta temper ourselves going into that Milwaukee game because Giannis is going to be so annoying without Joel Embiid in our paint, man. Like our anchor. That's the part that we kind of hovered over with Joel Embiid. Obviously, he's MVP. But our defense is going to be what is going to be a pain over this last, month and a half or so of basketball. No anchor in the middle, man. No shot blocker. The rebound, it's going to be a problem.
Team
it's
effort.
Be annoying. They're going to have to play
team
fast.
effort, man.
Yep. They're
going to have to exactly. They're going to have to play a different brand of basketball. Yeah. They're going to have to play scrappy. They're going to have to throw different looks at teams. They're going to have to take group rebound. Yeah,
I think you've said this before. I think the commenters, the watchers out there have said it before in the comments. But Nick Nurse, he's dealt with situations like this, right? Like he went not a whole season, but he went, throughout an entire season of load management with Kawhi Leonard and won an NBA championship. Like, he has competed with rosters that are not fulfilled, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that we can hone in with Nick Nurse. Hopefully he can coach us to some of those wins that maybe we don't see right now. That's what we have to hope, and that he can take advantage against the wins that we have to get, man. But Nick Nurse is an underrated factor in this equation.
This comment just enraged me again about Patrick Beverley because, you know, I don't know why I let other players that leave get under my skin so much, but no one is probably doing it better than he has. It's crazy to me. Like, I look back and I go, man, how did we love that guy so much when he was here? And I'm not actually asking the question. I know he was an all-time panderer. We believe when someone's telling you, it's like a toxic relationship. When someone's telling you it's you, it's only you, it's Paul, you're this, you're that, you believe it.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Milwaukee, and now it's them, and it's like, wait a second, the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, and I think, Roan, obviously being a Sixers fan on the podcast too,
nah,
right?
I'll call it what it is. I'll call this what it is. Roan, you're a clown. You're an. I love the Pat Bev pod. I'm not one. I like Barstool. I'm not one of those people that absolutely hate and disgrace Barstool. I like Barstool. I watch their stuff. I think Roan's talented and fun, whatever the case may be. I mean, the pandering has clearly worn off from Patrick Beverley to this kid, man. I mean, let's just call it. If you are a Philadelphia fan, you are a diehard Sixers fan. Ain't no player, I don't care, friend, business partner, coworker, anything. Ain't nobody coming for 3 months and having me switch up on the team I love more than certain family members. Like honestly, bro. Like what are we doing? Like I get it. Like you're talking every day. You have this relationship now. You know, he's probably feeding you some information where you think Daryl Morey is this liar. Why would they do this? And you said he wasn't going anywhere. And it probably hurts that his friend played for his favorite team. I understand that. But to switch, I don't know. Yeah, man, everything I see seems anti-Sixers. That's what I see from Roan on the pod now. Is anti-Daryl Morey, which is fine, but you've let that leak down. It's almost like he's going to go to the game on Sunday and be rooting for Pat Bev against Kyle Lowry and shit.
Who is he rooting for? I'm curious.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
it is interesting.
Whatever.
I don't know, man. It's interesting. Business and loyalty when it gets mixed up, but yeah, it's just corny.
It's a funny thing.
Overall, it's corny.
Yep. Anyway,
for a minimum contract player, by the way.
Yeah, big facts. Speaking of somewhat of a minimum contract, last little piece of weekend info to get out here, man. The Phillies go out and bring in ultra utility man Whit Merrifield on a 1-year, $8 million deal with a team option next year, which I think is a huge add in there for Dave Dombrowski to keep that flexibility. Yes, he is 35 years old, but also he's coming off of an all-star appearance last year. I believe he's a 3-time all-star. He has led the league in triples at one point. He has led the league in doubles at one point. He is a double-digit home run hitter. He is a career about 280 hitter. Yes, at this point of his career, advanced metrics and stats and analytics might not be his best friend. But, Scotty, guess what? The dude still steals double-digit bases. The dude still, at a high clip, got on base last year until a slump. So here's the story of Whit Merrifield last year. If you see anybody on Twitter that says they don't like the deal and they give out all these numbers in the F4 and blah, 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 the calculators come out to play on this Tuesday afternoon, Scotty. That is Whit Merrifield over about 130 game stretch or so, or 120 game stretch last year, was hitting for about 300, 11 home runs, 60 some RBIs, whatever, on a talented Blue Jays team, mind you.
Yeah.
Then he went through about a 25 to 30 game slump at the end of the year. Okay. Well, that slump brought his numbers down. People are focusing on that blah 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 that run. Whit Merrifield is what feels like the missing piece to the Phillies, and here's why. He's not the missing piece by any stretch of the imagination that he's this ultra talented bat that's going to come in and play 160 games for this team, and he's that guy. What I mean by missing piece is he feels like that push, that nudge, that help that just saves so many different areas of this
Yeah.
team throughout the course of 162 games. And in the postseason, that is a difference making kind of guy.
Yeah.
He plays everywhere.
Yeah.
Plays everywhere in the outfield. He can play second. I believe he's played first before. He's played third. He can literally play everywhere. So I know Bryson Stott's young, but guess what? If Bryson Stott needs a day off, and we already have Sosa as well, but Merrifield can play there. If you're platooning Marsh versus lefties or in Johan versus whoever because they're not hitting as well, he can play in either spot. If Johan Rojas is not what maybe the Phillies are hoping from a batting perspective, from a hitting perspective this year, and he starts slow, you're kind of hedging your bet with a career 280 hitter from the right side of the plate, which is something this team needed. He's a veteran. He's an all-star. The mindset. Have you heard the interviews? He's done all that. He's got the all-stars. He's got these accolades. I want to win.
Yeah. That's
He
the biggest
talked
thing.
to, I forget who it was, Christian Walker from the Diamondbacks, who played here last year in the NLCS against us. Asked Christian Walker, is the bank what it looks like on TV? He said, imagine what you think it is and multiply it by 5. That's what this place was for them last year. That's what everybody's going to tell you. And he wanted to come in here and embrace it. And I think he's exactly the kind of player the Phillies were missing. I think he's the kind of player that is going to embrace Philly, and Philly's going to embrace him. He's going to steal bases.
Yeah.
He's going to be gritty. He's going to come up with clutch hits, and he's going to play a ton. What I mean by that, he's not a starter unless Rojas just isn't it, which I don't foresee. I think Rojas is a player. I said that to you in the middle of last year before he's even an average MLB hitter. I think he's a player. But what I mean by playing a ton, Scotty, you know Topper's going to give guys days off. So guess what? When Rojas needs a day, you're in left. You're in left. Marsh is in center. When Marsh needs a day, you're in left. Rojas is in center. If Costi needs a day, you're in right. Potentially, if Stott needs a day and Sosa's injured, you're at second.
Yeah.
You can do so much with him where he's almost an everyday player, but he's a bench piece because he's going to fill in for so many different guys over the course of the season.
And I think the bigger thing, especially come postseason, is who he's going to eliminate from seeing the field, right? And those are the guys like the Jake Caves, even as good or as many spots as Sosa had, like a play that was made, or even Christian Pache, right? You take them out of the equation; they're not the first option. Out of the box,
not from a hitting perspective at all.
That's the biggest thing for me, right? Is you eliminate those opportunities for guys like a Jake Cave, and now you have a legitimate guy that can get on base and make something happen for you. And that's the biggest thing for me, right? It takes a lot of that pressure off of like a Kyle Schwarber. It takes that pressure off of a Rojas. It takes the pressure off of Brandon Marsh having to rush back from his surgery that he just recently got. So it's almost like insurance, but he's going to be used far more than insurance, right? And I think that's going to be the fun part with this team.
To your point, I think it's a double-edged insurance, right?
Yeah.
What if Rojas can't develop as a hitter? What if he starts the year 4 for 70 or 4 for something crazy, right? He's just slumping to start. Well, maybe you had your bet there. What if they're going to let Marsh hit against lefties, hopefully? But what if Marsh is hitting 210 against lefties? Yeah. Maybe Merrifield becomes the everyday player in a platoon with Marsh. You mentioned just how he's insurance and getting those guys off the field. I think he's just that next layer of depth in the lineup. Yeah. And what I mean by that, again, is like you mentioned, a game in where Christian Pache is maybe your 9-hole hitter, or Jake Cave has to play. He's in the 8-hole or something, whatever the case may be. Yeah. Well, instead of that, you're going Schwarber, Turner, Harper, JT, Bohm or Stott, Bohm, Costi, Marsh, Merrifield.
Yeah.
Think about it. 1 through 9 Think about that.
Yeah.
Just hold it for a second.
Yeah.
Whit Merrifield's your 9-hole hitter, or potentially your 8-hole hitter with Marsh behind him, or whatever the case may be. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
It's
he's
exactly what they needed.
protection, he's insurance, he's depth, and he's just an all-around ball player.
And he doesn't
And
come with too much either, right? Like you say, the double-edged sword, he doesn't come with too much to where he's going to
no,
be, he's going to have to be on the field, right? Like it's not like that either. This guy's 35 years old. He is just trying to win a championship at this
yep,
point.
and do
And
whatever
like
he
you
can
said,
in
that
his
makes
role.
it perfect. What did you think about the report about Yamamoto, man? Apparently they offered more money than
Saw that this
the
morning, man.
Dodgers.
That is,
Had a Bryce Harper presentation for him,
yeah.
everything.
I mean, they offered.
They went for it.
They offered him the most money of any
Yeah.
team. That's unbelievable. I love it. And here's what I'll say. And again, I know it's different levels, right? Like this was the new toy. Everyone wanted him. He was gonna have to get the 10, 12-year deal, whatever the case is, right? To be able to fight for him. But that's where I get confused as to where there's rumors that now that they offered that to him, but we're not really in play for Montgomery or Snell.
Right. Why not?
And because again, like age, right? Like Yamamoto, maybe you're willing to give the 10-year deal to, but Snell, you don't want to give a 4-year deal to. Montgomery, you don't want to give a 4-year deal to. I understand it, but I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me that you would offer this dude north of $300 million
Yeah.
over a decade, but you're not willing to give Montgomery a 3-year deal or Snell a 2 or 3-year deal.
Yeah.
That wouldn't make sense to me. So I do believe the Phillies are still in play from for that reason, for one of those two guys. I think the market continues to
Yeah.
wait out. Which, by the way, Scott Boras is an asshole. I mean, you're killing, dude. Spring training starts this week.
Yeah.
Games are being played later on this week and next weekend, and there are multiple
There's a ton of guys.
all-star level free
Yeah.
agents not on a team yet.
It's actually
That
crazy.
is disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting. But
Waiting for what?
to go back to the Yamamoto thing, man, I'm shocked, honestly. I knew we were in play for him. I knew Dombrowski was going to be aggressive. If he was in play for him, you would have had to have been. But to hear they offered the most money, that's I mean, I love it, but that's wild that came out. But I mean, it just goes to, I mean, Otani was already there. Again, where's Yamamoto from? Where's Japan? Where I don't
I
know
believe
where he's
he's
from, but
Japanese. I
I
believe. Yeah.
mean, well, we talk about that all the time with the new players closer on the West Coast, right? So
Yeah.
they're going to want to play for the Dodgers, especially out there, just like Otani signed with them as well. So, you were playing at a disadvantage in terms of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I
Exactly. And
saw
that's
this too, bro.
easy to
I can't wait for this team to come back fully healthy. We're going to be talking a lot about them tomorrow
tomorrow.
morning, so I
Yes,
don't
sir.
want to get too much into it. We're going to do some season and player, predictions and projections and our expectations for this upcoming year. Spring training is starting, but I will say this team's got to be hungry after the way that they kind of let themselves and everything kind of fall apart in the final 2 games, or really the final 5 games of the season against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who shouldn't even be able to sniff the Phillies jock. I'm sorry. From a talent perspective, the way they let that go down, they have to be ready to go. The owner wants it. The GM wants it. The manager in Topper wants it. And these
Yeah.
players, bro, like, I can't wait. Just kind of a precursor to kick off tomorrow's show. I can't wait for a full year of Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Like, we forget that. We
Yeah.
forget that Bryce Harper missed a month and a half last year. I can't wait for a, hopefully, knock on wood, normal, ready to go Trey Turner from opening day on. Not World Baseball Classic slumping Trey Turner.
Yeah.
Okay? Nick Castellanos, what's he like on a consistent basis day to day this year? Kyle Schwarber, is he hitting 40-plus home runs again? Where's Aaron Nola after the money? They still got, hopefully, a pitcher to bring in, bullpen relief. I don't know what they have planned over the coming weeks. But opening day is inching closer, man, and we'll see what this Phillies
Yeah,
roster looks like,
they're
Scotty.
going for it. You know that. So
That they are, man. But guys, with that said, that is going to wrap up this Tuesday edition of the Faithful Fanatic Show. We are 10 subscribers away from the first 100 here on our YouTube channel. Let's do this. For anybody watching, TR, Martian Lynch, Brett, get the word out. Scotty, if you're cool with this, I know you will be. We'll put something together, guys. But when we hit that 100 subscriber mark, let's set a date. By opening day, we hit that 100 subscribers. We will do a Phillies giveaway for our first 100 subscribers.
yes,
Sound
sir.
good? Get to that first little milestone. Kick off opening day with a bang, and we'll get to maybe a little jersey giveaway or a little whatever hoodie giveaway or something to kick it off the season, guys. But pass around the word. Your family members, your friends, whoever's in the Philly sports. Make sure they tune in, tap in, and get us to that 100 subscriber mark over the next
Yes,
month.
sir.
For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your day.